Stay tuned for a special Municipal Channel 53 program. The following program on the Cupertino City Council election contains interview portions from only 6 of the 7 candidates. City Council candidate Thomas Hynes could not be reached for an interview before our report deadline. The race is on for 3 city council seats in Cupertino, and it's proving to be the most exciting local political competition this city's seen in recent memory. Undoubtedly, you've seen these signs posted all over town, signs promoting the names of 4 of the 7 candidates. 2 incumbents and 5 challengers make up the 7 in total running for city council, and they are as follows. John Gatto, a land developer and investor who is also one of this year's 2 incumbents. Marshall Goldman, an electrical contractor. Thomas Hynes, a retired General Motors worker who now owns and manages property in Santa Clara. Wayland, a software support analyst. John Plungy Jr., a Homestead High School teacher and the 2nd incumbent in this year's election. Lauralee Sorensen, a public health nurse for Cupertino Union School District, as well as a planning commissioner, and Nick Szabo, an electronics company executive who also serves on the Cupertino Planning Commission. Both Plungy and Gatto have chosen to defend their seats on the City Council. Local press actually began reporting on the race since June of 1989, and media attention has not slowed down since. That's probably because an entity like the council is the most vital component to any city's well-being. Not only does the 5-member council hold a responsibility to its citizenry, but it also holds the power to establish policies and regulate those policies within the city. Perhaps this sense of power and responsibility is just one reason why 2 of the current council members have served for nearly 9 years now, with senior council member Barbara Rogers already approaching her 11th year. But some challengers feel it's time for a change in the council and have cited this as a major reason in their decisions to hop on the election bandwagon. That, along with member Phil Johnson's decision to not seek a 3rd term.
Repeat after me. I, Barbara Rogers.
I, Barbara Rogers.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
This was the scene back in fall of '87, the swearing in of council members Barbara Rogers and Barbara Koppel to office. At that time, 6 candidates ran for the then 2 available seats. However, both Rogers and Koppel won by margins totaling more than 28,000 votes apiece. 2 years earlier, in 1985, not a single challenger waged campaigns against the then 3 incumbents. Perhaps Cupertino was in a kinder, gentler state than it appears to be in today. For today, candidates have focused their platforms on issues like the following: the preservation of recreation, the purchasing of open space, traffic, effective regionalism with Cupertino's neighboring cities, social services, educational support, future development, the growing Asian population, and the preservation of traditional American values. But now would be a good time to meet the candidates and find out why they have chosen to run for council office. As mentioned earlier in the disclaimer, all candidates will be represented except Thomas Hynes, who could not be reached for comment.
I've been involved with the city in various fashions since 1969, starting with the Goals Committee and then going through Planning Commission, and I've elected the council in 1980. I feel I've made a positive contribution. I love what I do, and I'd like to continue.
First of all, I care about Cupertino, and I've been a citizen, and I see that having been involved with a local issue previously, I found that that there is a lot of technical issues that the city has to deal with that I feel that I have the background and capability to handle. And I think that it's important that citizens get involved with their city, and I am attempting to do that by running for City Council.
I've always been interested in politics and the way things are run. And I've lived here long enough to know what's going on, and I actually plan to live here for many, many more years, and so I have the time and energy, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to run for City Council.
First of all, because of my experience on the council, I have become involved in a number of projects, or whatever you want to call it, committee work and the like, not only here in the city, but also at the state and national level, and they have an effect on Cupertino. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was in Washington, D.C., where I serve on a national committee dealing with the drug policy. And we met with some of the top advisors to President Bush and Mr. Bennett, and we were putting in our input on what we feel should be done on the drug issue. So such issues as drugs. The committee I chair in California also deals with things as child care, senior housing, other affairs that deal with seniors. These types of issues, these are continuing things. I am in a leadership position on these committees. I believe I can make some contributions to both the state and national level, as well as helping our city, and I want to continue those, and that's why I would like to continue serving for another 4 years.
I'm running for City Council because I feel that there needs to be a change. Most of the incumbents in the past have only had 2 terms, and now we seem to be having people that want to serve more than 2 terms. And I see a trend, not only, well, nationwide actually, of candidates that are cities that only want their candidates to serve 2 terms and possibly even shorter terms in Congress. I also feel that there are a lot of new ideas, there are a lot of creative people around, and everybody should be given a chance to serve. And I believe in citizen involvement, and I think that's the very bottom line.
We became a family here. Our children grew up here, and we love this city. We are also quite disturbed that some changes are taking place in Cupertino during the last 10 years. And I think that we have to do something about those changes.
On November 7th, Cupertino voters will select 3 of the 7 candidates who will best represent the city. We'll hear more from each of the City Council incumbents and challengers when Meet the Candidates continues.
In Chile, 8 million people who want to vote can't. In South Africa, 25 million people who want to vote can't. In the United States, 81 million people who can vote don't. Democracy. It can't be of the people and for the people if it's not by the people. Vote.
It's hard to believe that with over 22,000 registered voters in the city of Cupertino, that your one vote could make a difference. But the facts prove differently. In the last decade in California, over 21 local elections have been decided by one vote, and 11 school board elections have been decided by one vote. So don't forget to vote November 7th. Your one vote can make a difference.
The following program on the Cupertino City Council election contains interview portions from only 6 of the 7 candidates. City Council candidate Thomas Hynes could not be reached for an interview before our report deadline.
Well, I think the major issues in Cupertino are long-term planning and allowing the long-term planning to keep the residential quality of Cupertino the same and improve it. I think the residential quality of life is an extremely important issue, and we need to be very strong in preserving that. The other issue I feel is that citizens have to have more input in the decisions of the city. And when I have gotten involved in a lot of these issues, I have found that citizens feel very much out of it. They feel they aren't making an impact, they feel they can't make an impact, and I think that's absolutely wrong. In fact, I think that the citizens are one of the greatest resources that Cupertino has as a city, and we ought to use them better.
I don't know if there's really any issues that I want to concentrate on. There's obviously the main things that people are concerned about are the growth of the city, all the developing projects here, and of course the traffic which is related to that. And I don't know what one person can do as far as solving the traffic problem, but you know, it's something that I'm interested in, and I think that a better job can be done than what is being done right now.
I think some of the issues, unfortunately, are with us and may continue to be with us for a while because we only have a certain amount of control over them. For example, transportation or traffic. That's certainly one issue I want to continue focusing on. I think we have made some strides trying to keep some of the neighborhoods secure, working to get 85 to go all the way through the city to relieve some of the congestion on our streets. And I know sometimes I hear from people the statement, well, we have all this traffic. Well, I like to think back that if we had not taken the measures we did, the traffic would probably be far worse. And so that's one of the issues I want to concentrate on. Secondly, I want to concentrate also on seniors. I believe that seniors are a very important segment of our population, and they need attention. It may be housing, some of their other needs that they have. So what can be done in that area? A third area is child care. Even though we have, some say, an aging population, we have many families coming in with small children, and they need child care, and they need affordable child care. And finally, the last issue is that of drugs, and perhaps that's the most important. And even though we don't have, thank goodness, you know, a huge drug gang problem here in Cupertino, drugs do exist in our society. They're spilling over from the large urban areas. We have some coming within our community. We know some of it is out there. And anything we can do from the city level to try and eradicate that through education programs, working with the schools, this is what we're going to do. I know I am calling together a group of the advisors from the high schools who work with the drug program to come together with me to see just what we can do as a city. Maybe it might be using the offices of the city to go out to the business community, get some financial assistance in order to help these programs. So those are the four areas, and I guess part of it comes from my background. When I look at it, I am a grandfather, so I'm concerned about what happens to little kids in child care because one's 3 months and the other one's almost 3 years old. I am a parent. I teach teenagers, so I have that experience. I am, as I said, a grandparent, a senior citizen, and I have parents who are 80 years old, and so I'm concerned about them. So I kind of run the gamut age-wise and the problem-wise. So I'm familiar with those, and those are some of my main concerns.
I think the first one is recognizing that we are going into looking at the general plan. I want to make sure that citizens understand that the general plan is going to be done after the election. There will be a committee that will be selected. And it's a great opportunity for everybody to become involved and decide on how we're going to enter the 21st century. Another area of concern is recreation. I feel very strongly that we need to maximize our present open space. And when I say maximize, I mean the school districts have open space. There needs to be partnerships between the city and the school districts, all three of them, Cupertino, the high school district, and De Anza College district. And in that way, we can take the open space and use it for our citizens. We may end up having to buy all of the private recreation space. I don't want to see recreation space lost because when it's gone, it will be gone forever. Another area of concern for me are drugs. And I've talked with the Sheriff's Department, And Captain Thomas has indicated that the drug problem in Cupertino is reflective of the drug problem in the United States. And I think we cannot deny that we have drugs around. We have to recognize that we're on a freeway. It's very easy for drug dealers to drive right off of the freeway and get involved with, sell their drugs to people so that they can be sold. Another area of concern would be traffic. And I think probably every candidate in the Greater Bay Area is going to consider traffic a concern. And this probably needs a regional approach for solving it. And especially in Cupertino, I have some definite ideas in that we would have a committee formed of citizens, business, the city, and the environmental groups who would be directed to come up with a way to solve the traffic problem. And I think it can be done because we have creative people. Another area that I want to stress is budget. And my idea on budget is we have limited resources. We need to know how to spend them the best way. I'm going to advocate, with the cooperation of the rest of the council when I'm elected, that we have a budget review committee. And a budget review committee would be composed of 2 members of the citizens appointed by each council member, the League of Women Voters, AAUW, the Chamber of Commerce, and city representatives represented through their bargaining unit. And these citizens would review the entire budget and then give advice to the city council as to where monies need to be spent, or if we're spending too much in one area or not enough in another area. Both school districts do this at the present time, and it's very effective.
During the past years, while the incumbents have been in office, Cupertino has had an explosive growth. I am very much concerned about overbuilding in Cupertino. I would like to reduce that. I'm also very much concerned about the fact that we are losing our open space and our recreational facilities. These are the main issues of my campaign.
I think the singular main issue in Cupertino is still traffic. And because of our unique position in the valley, we have to, we end up being a conduit for commute traffic from the south to the north. And although we have a good management program within the city that we can control the traffic on a local level, we need to work even more diligently with the other communities and with some kind of regional program to find a way to minimize the intrusion within our community of the traffic. I think another issue that is parallel to that is the emerging regionalism. There are many issues like toxic waste and a few others that transcend our city boundaries, and it's important that we work with other communities to solve those problems.
Well, I think I'm young and energetic, and I've had previous management experience, and I'm pretty sharp in business, and I think I have a lot of good common sense, and I think I could get some things done.
I think the qualities I've brought to the councils, first of all, I feel I have a good working knowledge of government because my experience as a teacher. Also, too, I feel to a great degree I am somewhat of a consensus builder. This has been part of my experience in the schools, listening to people, being able to ask questions, formulate, discuss material, bring about some solutions, propose solutions. Those are things that I feel I've brought to the council. Also, I feel I've brought the energy and time that I can dedicate to the work. As I look back over the years, the fact that I spend my entire day in Cupertino. I live in Cupertino, I work in Cupertino, so I'm here all the time, so I have that everyday knowledge, you might say, of a number of the issues.
Probably my best and most important quality is the ability to bring people together in order to create solutions to problems. I do this in my job on a daily basis, and I act as a broker, getting people to services that they might need. Another quality that I have is my ability to listen and my ability to communicate, and especially on a one-to-one basis.
By training, I am an engineer. I graduated from Caltech with a bachelor's degree. I got my master's degree from Stanford, and I completed my education in electrical engineering and computer science from Berkeley, where I received a doctorate. I am employed by KLA Instruments as the Director of Government Programs. As far as the city experience is concerned, I have worked for the city many years. I was a Goals Commissioner, then I went on to be a Public Safety Commissioner, and for the past 6 years I have served the city as the Planning Commissioner. Perhaps my most valuable background for being a city councilman was my presidency of our local homeowners association. We had the most active homeowners association in the city of Cupertino, and one former mayor said also the most effective one. Whenever I now think about some decision to make on the Planning Commission, I always go back to my days as a homeowners association president. I think, what do their neighbors really want? And that has given me a lot of insight. Finally, I have some experience, considerable experience, in fact, in traffic control. For several years, I was Director of Research and Development of one of the pioneering companies in computerized traffic control.
Basically, experience, a willingness to work, and proven leadership. I've been involved with the City Council since 1980, I've been on the council, been mayor twice, have been involved with the Planning Commission for 8 years before that, and in other bodies before that. And I think that my involvement began with the Citizens Goals Committee in 1969, at which point we set a direction for the city to us basically where we've achieved today. And I've been very comfortable with that, and I think that I can make sure that we continue in the direction we've been going.
Number one, I've owned and operated a business for the last 15 years in this area. I have an understanding of what it takes to direct people. I believe I have strong leadership qualities. I have a decision-making ability in terms of practical decisions that have to be made on a day-to-day basis. I see the city faces that. I'm involved in the construction business, and I think the major issues facing Cupertino are traffic and development related, and I understand the details of those. And I think that beyond just managing the issues, you need to be able to understand the details to make decisions. And finally, my educational background, I think, is appropriate. I am a graduate of MIT. I have a master's degree in management from the Sloan School at MIT, and that allows me to understand how everything fits together as far as the city is concerned and the rest of the community.
What do the candidates think of Cupertino in its present state? Find out when Meet the Candidates continues.
And that this free society speaks with power, force, and decision. In this crusade,
The political machine that put these people into office is still run by the same person. You. Democracy. It can't be of the people and for the people if it's not by the people. Vote.
Cupertino I see as right now as a well-balanced, maturing community. We've gone through the stages where kind of the growth stages, and right now what we're doing is just filling in a few of the open spots that are left. But I think we're establishing our identity, maturing. We see this even in such things as the trees and the like. Recently I had the chance to view the city from up high, and the one thing that impressed me was a beautiful green community. And I think that kind of reflects the city as a whole. I think we're well run fiscally. We have to be aware of what's going on, but on the whole, a well-balanced community, a maturing community, and we still have some problems to address, such as traffic and things of that nature.
I would describe Cupertino as a very caring city. And I base this on my experiences both with Cupertino Community Services and the Drug Council. We just recently had the Hoedown. This pulls citizens together that have a fun event and enjoy being together and doing something that will benefit, that in turn will benefit the community ultimately. I would also describe Cupertino physically as a city that is nestled in the foothill. And then finally, I think Cupertino is very refreshing because of its lack of political views. We're not polarized in any one direction or another.
Cupertino has had a pro-development city council now for about 10 years. During this period, we have had explosive growth. To give you an idea, in the previous 34 years of Cupertino history, a total of 1 million square feet of office space was built. During the last 6 years, we tripled the amount of office space in Cupertino. Also, in other respects, the tallest building has increased in height. The tallest building in 1983 was a 4-story building. Recently, the council authorized a 17-story hotel. So we have had explosive growth. And we now got to look at it, say, what are we going to do this? Can we go or should we go on like this? And I say, no, we must slow down very considerably.
I think Cupertino is a fine city. I think it's a dynamic, workable city with a wonderful citizenry. About 2 years ago, there was a poll done by one of the major papers in the Bay Area, and of the 60 or so odd cities in the greater metropolitan area, Cupertino was in the top 5. I think that represents the quality of the city that we have here.
Cupertino is a residential city. It's a growing city. I think it's a very beautiful city and a very nice community in terms of the people that live there, and in terms of the way the city is physically. I think that Cupertino has some problems, traffic being number one of them, but I think these problems are solvable. So I feel it's a very nice community. I'm very committed to being here.
The city is fairly well run as far as I'm concerned. We're experiencing some growing pains right now. There's a lot of different projects that are going on at the same time. And you know, because the city is starting to spend a lot of money now, they're looking for ways to get more revenues. And so I think that's going to be the challenge up ahead. You know, what kind of development should we have to ensure, you know, future streams of revenues? I mean, do we need more hotels, more office buildings, or more shopping centers? You know, that's something that you know, we're going to have to struggle with to decide, you know, what are we going to do to get more revenues? Either that, or what are we going to do to spend less money? So one or the other.
I'm in this election. I'm certainly aware of their time commitment, and I want to say that anybody who runs for city council or any elected office, there is a time commitment. I know who they are. I think what some of their points of interest are and what they believe in. I'm committed to running my campaign at the present time, but I will watch what they do.
All I know about my competitions that I see signs out there, and apparently they have more signs than I do, but from the looks of it, mine are more conspicuous. And in fact, I should tell you is, last week I was in Boston, and somebody came up to me, read my name tag, and he said, "You're running for city council." And I said, "You could see that from Boston?" I knew those signs were bright, but I didn't think they were that conspicuous.
I think just as what I've been able to gather through the media, and there hasn't been a tremendous amount of publicity of one sort or another, so I would say that at this point it has been mainly on the sideline and has just been on a peripheral basis.
I really don't worry about my competition. I think that this is a local race. It needs to be waged on a very positive level. I want to get out and meet the people and tell them what I have to say and what I think, and whatever the competition does is up to them. And I think the citizens are very well educated, and if they get out and vote, they'll vote for whoever is in their interest to run for the city. I obviously believe that I am, and we'll just see what happens.
I've noticed their election signs going up along the streets. I know who all of them are. I've met most of them in person, and I know where most of them stand. But you know, I'm not really concerned about, you know, who wins or who loses. There's a lot of people that are obviously very interested in what happens to this city, and I think everybody who is running is a qualified candidate. So it doesn't really concern me what they're doing or anything like that. I think either way this city will be well represented.
I've been watching the competition. Well, let's put it this way. One of the competition is on the council with me, and we've been together, so I've seen him all along. Some of the people I'm not too familiar with because I haven't seen them, they haven't served on any of our commissions or anything like that. So I'm waiting to see what they say when we appear at forums, so I'll know a little bit more about them. I have read over their ballot statements. Then we have two of our planning commissioners, and certainly I have looked at them, I've watched them, and I think just as people will examine my record and where I stand, I think we can examine their record and what is their voting record and how they've stood on the issues. So I am fairly familiar, at least with those two people, because I can look at their record and I can see how they've voted and the stands they've taken on various issues.
I really don't believe that I have to change my lifestyle. I'm on the Planning Commission now, and the Planning Commission has as many meetings as a city council. I realize that I will have to go to some evening meetings, but now that our children are gone, I don't go to Little League ball games, I don't go to soccer, and I probably will be going to meet with some other cities. But frankly, I think the Little League games were probably more fun.
Well, since I'm already on the council and have been on the Planning Commission before that, I think the lifestyle has already been shaped to include those, and I find it to be a positive, worthwhile experience.
That's an interesting question. Really, right now I'm married, I have 3 kids. I used to have a dog, I don't have the dog anymore. The dog died. I don't see my lifestyle changing radically. My family's very important to me. I think that I'm going to have to spend a little bit less time with my family, but I don't see it as a major problem.
I don't think I'll have to change my lifestyle that much. I work right across the street from City Hall, so if I need to pick up any papers or read anything about what's going on, I really don't have to go out of my way to do that. And I don't think I have to make any changes to my lifestyle at all. I'll probably be doing more reading than I'm doing right now, but other than that, you know, I don't think there'll be that drastic a change in my life at all.
Serving on the council certainly has changed my lifestyle in the sense that it requires a good deal more planning now to accommodate the various meetings that I must attend, the readings I must do, and the like. I once figured it out, and I think as a council member, just as a member of the council, I was averaging 20 to 30 hours a week dealing with city matters. As mayor, it ranges from 30 to 40 hours a week. So it takes careful planning. It adjusts your lifestyle. You get used to many more TV dinners or microwave dinners, catching things on the run. But I'm the type of person that likes to keep very busy. I can also get by on fairly a little sleep, just 4 or 5 hours a night, and I'm ready to go, which sometimes surprises my wife because she'll get tired and say, aren't you getting tired? And I say, no, because I can do that, and I have that energy level. And so my lifestyle will probably continue the same on the council. It certainly has changed. It's much more busy, but I think I would like to continue it that way.
I know that it requires more time, and I'm presently on the Planning Commission, and this requires probably about 10 or 15 hours when each time we have a planning prior to a planning meeting, plus the meeting time itself. I've made a commitment to my family comes first, that I will give up all my other outside activities. And my other outside activities are, for example, Cupertino Community Services Board. I serve on their board of directors, and this does take time. I obviously will continue my job with the school district at the present time.
What future directions can we expect the council to take? Stay tuned.
It's hard to believe that with over 22,000 registered voters in the city of Cupertino, that your one vote could make a difference. But the facts prove differently. In the last decade in California, over 21 local elections have been decided by one vote, and 11 school board elections have been decided by one vote. So don't forget to vote November 7th. Your one vote can make a difference.
Lured by the dream of owning your own small business? Being your own boss? Reality got you startled? Customers passing you by? We're SCORE, a service corps of retired executives. Call us at 1-800-237-GROW.
Oh, yeah.
Get your hands on our free small business success kit. It'll help make your dreams come true. That's 1-800-237-GROW. Or find the SBA in your telephone directory.
In Chile, 8 million people who want to vote can't. In South Africa, 25 million people who want to vote can't. In the United States, 81 million people who can vote don't. Democracy. It can't be of the people and for the people if it's not by the people. Vote.
The following program on the Cupertino City Council election contains interview portions from only 6 of the 7 candidates. City Council candidate Thomas Hynes could not be reached for an interview before our report deadline.
Cupertino has a unique geographical location. We are blessed to be in the Silicon Valley, which by itself is a very dynamic, emerging, very aggressive location. But our particular location places us between residential areas and employment areas. So we have a commute problem in that the residential areas to the south tend to use Cupertino as a conduit to commute to the employment areas to the north. That is a unique problem, I think more so to Cupertino than many other of our neighbors, and produces the kind of traffic impact that is probably the major source of our needs to manage and control and affects our lifestyle.
Cupertino has a problem common to all South Bay cities, which is traffic. I mean, we are impacted severely by traffic. And it is a special problem in Cupertino because, one, we're a very small city again, and we seem to be at the crossroads of the transportation system in the upper South Bay, so to speak. And that's a terrible problem, and that's a problem that is going to be resolved to a great degree by the opening of Highway 85, which I'm very, very much in favor of, and also will be resolved by doing a little bit better long-term planning. I think we could do some traffic studies once 85 is in place and really see what we can do to alleviate the impact of traffic on our neighborhoods. Other than that, I think Cupertino really has a pretty good is a pretty good city, and I think the problems that they have are all solvable. There's one other problem that, again, I bring up, and I don't think this is just typical of Cupertino, but it is the access to the city by the citizens. It's not that citizens don't have access, it's that they don't feel that they have enough access. They don't feel that they have enough input. And like we were talking before, things like a local television channel, things like local newspapers, whatever we can do. The Cupertino scene, I think, is a great idea, and I think that should be emphasized. But whatever we can do to give people the feeling and the ability to have more input into the city, I think that's extremely important. That's a problem.
Well, it probably has more traffic problems than other cities since it's a small city area-wise, and since we have 2 highways running through the city, 85 and 280, we get a lot of traffic in our city that actually doesn't belong to us, but are caused by people who are passing through, people who live in like Los Gatos or in Saratoga, who don't take the highway but choose to drive through Cupertino instead. So that seems to be a unique problem because Cupertino is so small and there's only a few really major streets that run through it.
I think we have two major problems over the other cities. One is right now we, of course, lie between much of the industry and the housing. And so we've become a throughway for people to pass through us, and especially with the freeway ending in our city, we become this passageway. So that's one major problem. People are passing through our city. The second problem, and this is both a benefit and a problem, we have De Anza College in our midst. And De Anza College is wonderful, ranked among the top 5 in the United States, but it also happens to be the largest community college in the country. Some 30,000 students, and that creates problems of its own because we have traffic, and of course they're coming there in the popularity, and we wish them the success and we support them, but at the same time it does present some problems, how you move those people around. I went to a conference and there was a session there for university towns, and I went in there and they said, well, what university do you represent? You're from Cupertino. And I said, De Anza College, largest in the country for a community college. By the end of the session, the University of Kansas was asking me, how do we handle some of the parking problems? So I think it's good, and we'd love to have De Anza, but there are some problems associated just because of its size, and we have to deal with that.
Cupertino's problems, as I mentioned, one of them was traffic and transportation, and I think every city in the greater Bay Area has that problem. Affordable housing, that's a problem. But I think probably the problem as of today, when we're doing this taping, is Highway 85, and that has probably become the biggest problem. And I see it as dividing the city both physically and emotionally right now. And I think there will have to be a pulling together once the whole problem is solved.
Cupertino has one very special problem. It is at the crossroad of many cities. People commute through Cupertino, and we have only 2 arterials. One is Stevens Creek Boulevard, and the other one is De Anza Boulevard. And this has placed a tremendous burden on our residential neighborhoods because people tend to divert right through residential neighborhoods when the traffic gets clogged on these main arterials. This is one of the problems we will have to tackle.
I think the first area that the council needs to concentrate on is the planning issue. We have had too many surprises over the last 3 or 4 years, and I think that there are, by having had a little forethought, we would have been able to anticipate the various Highway 85 issues that have come up. So I think that we need to plan for the next 10 years as to what type of growth that we're going to have, what type of facilities are we going to need, and really have a long-term program in place. The second issue, I think, is community involvement. I believe that the citizens need to have more input into the decisions of the council. And I think that it's not that they don't have input now, it's that they don't feel that they have input. And when people are unwilling even to come up and make their opinions known, except at crisis type of issues, I think that becomes a problem. My suggestion, and if I were elected, one of the things that I would do would be to seek out neighborhood groups and once a month arrange a meeting with them to hear their input and to try to understand in advance what the issues of the neighborhoods are. The other thing I think we need to do, the other issue the City Council needs to consider is the human resources. And by that I mean the senior citizens, the handicapped, those people. We have an excellent program ongoing right now. I think that our population will increase in those areas, and I think we need to continue to support and to expand the services that we have for the senior citizens. And those, I think, are the major issues.
They'll have to concentrate on how they can get more revenues and where these revenues are going to be coming from in the future if certain business or economic events happen, such as if one of the major companies around here decides to move, or if we have a bad economic situation. Are we going to be able to rely on hotel revenues or things like that? Right now, I think the picture is pretty rosy because things are going pretty well here, but there's no guarantee that Apple Computer will always be in Cupertino. And if they do leave, I don't think there's going to be any one company that can fill its void. And I think that's going to really severely impact the city's economy.
For the future, I think we have to keep working, one, that we continue to maintain a balanced community, the residential and the office and commercial. We have to be very careful about that for several reasons. One is that we keep the balanced residential community. We've taken some steps. I pushed to put some limits on the size of houses. I think we have to be very careful we don't overdo that. At the same time, for the residential, that we maintain our open space. This should be one of our prime goals, is to maintain that open space. And I know I've talked about some of the issues. That certainly for me is another one that is a key one, maintenance of open and recreational space. People just need space. As far as the office and commercial goes, I think what we have to do here is be very careful that we don't bring in or allow development to take place which really won't benefit the city. It can bring the traffic and the like, but of what benefit? And so what we have to address too is maintaining a proper tax base, revenue stream. Now from property tax we do not get that much money. We really depend considerably upon sales tax, and so what we want to do is where we have development, for example in Valco or the like, that it brings in some of this revenue, so there always will be, with any type of development, there will be a negative factor because you have more people, whether they're living in houses, working in offices. But can that be offset by some benefits that would accrue to the city?
I think the council needs to, first of all, have the citizen involvement and redo the general plan or update the general plan, because we don't want to redo the whole thing. And once that is done, that gives you the direction as to the way that the citizens want you to go. And then we need to look very carefully at recreation. We don't want to, I don't think the city wants to lose any of its recreation space. And this may involve either buying privately owned recreation space or encouraging other people to come in and make sure that we maintain our open recreation space. Another area of concern is the budget. The city has to be fiscally responsible, and in this area I would advocate having a budget review committee that would be composed of citizens that are appointed by various council members, and then also pulling in various citizens groups such as the Chamber of Commerce, the League of Women Voters, and AAUW. And then we need to look at daycare, because our industry within the computer industry won't have workers unless we're able to provide daycare, because we have too many workers that have to come in from long distances. I think this can be done in partnership with the schools and with business. I do not see the city furnishing daycare, and they need to stay out of that financially. Finally, I think traffic is of concern, and in this area I would have a a committee composed of business, again, and the city and environmental groups, and involve the chamber in this area also, so that they could look at look at traffic, give them the charge that they have to come up with solutions on how we can reduce some of our traffic. And finally, density. I think our business density, we've almost reached the maximum. The only area that I would see increasing space would be in Valco in order to attract the 4th anchor store in the Valco Fashion Park. And then we need to look at how we're going to provide housing and if there is any way that we could have more housing within Cupertino.
I think that we have to protect our neighborhoods. And how do we do this? There are two ways I think we need to tackle this. First of all, we must make sure that people don't divert through residential neighborhoods from our major arterials because these arterials are clogged. I advocate a review of our computerized traffic control system so people will not go through residential neighborhoods. The second problem that we're having is that houses are being built in existing neighborhoods. And at present, there is no mechanism on the city books to individually review the architecture of these houses, the new houses being built, to make sure that they don't visually intrude into neighbors' backyards.
The city of Cupertino has gone through 2 general plan efforts in the last 20 years. I think that these general plan and the goals committee that shaped them set a pretty good plan for the involvement of the city. We have done up to date a fairly good job of involving within that context. I think that there are a number of very positive elements of that evolution. I think it's important to stress those and to make sure we continue in the positive, and that I would stress quality and maintaining the positive aspects of the community and seeking to minimize some of the negatives, primarily some of the intrusion aspects of the traffic.
And that this free society speaks with power, force, and decision. In this crusade,
The political machine that put these people into office is still run by the same person. You. Democracy. It can't be of the people and for the people if it's not by the people. Vote.
Thanks for watching Meet the Candidates. Be sure to watch Municipal Channel 53 for election-related programs, including a special election forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Cupertino Sunnyvale. Don't forget to vote Tuesday, November the 7th. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m.